Mabuhay Parañaque. My name is Drew. Nandito po tayo ngayong gabi magpapakilala kasama si Eric Martinez. Nakita niyo na siya sa mga posts ko previously, and this is us officially um, announcing, I guess you can call it, para sa Parañaque na kami tumatakbo. Ako bilang mayor ng Parañaque at si um, Eric Martinez as District 1 Councilor. Everyone, please welcome Eric Martinez.
Medyo paulan na gabi
Maulan ba?
sa Parañaque.
Hindi ko na napansin.
Dito sa amin maulan
Okay.
Dito sa bandang District 1 San Isidro medyo maulan. Uh, I'm glad to see us together dito sa page mo, and we're doing this simultaneously on my page as well, and we'd like to tell everybody as well that this is going to be a weekly thing that we're going to do. It's not just going to be us, pero we're going to be inviting different people, different resources, so that you're not just going to be forced to listen to us on a weekly basis. We're going to talk about different topics. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about hot button issues. We're going to talk about anything Parañaque, right? Because that's what we're trying to contribute to. So, to introduce myself, ako si Eric Martinez, and I currently live in District 1 here in Parañaque, specifically in Barangay San Isidro. And I filed my candidacy as an independent candidate for the council seat, for the city council. And the only reason I did that is a couple of things, right? Number one, because of Lenny, because of Kiko, lahat tayo, we were, let's say, to be honest, we were depressed. We were very sad of the situation of what happened in 2022, right? So I want to keep that fire going. I want to continue on all of the efforts para hindi masayang. And like what Lenny herself said, tayo yung liwanag, right? And we can translate that, we can paraphrase that by saying that, we need to be the change that we want to see in society. So all of the things that we were yearning for, lahat nung hanap natin sa ating public officials during that time, we need to be able to continue doing that, right? And this is my way of putting my grain of sand in that effort. And then the second reason is dahil kay Drew, right? Because I saw Drew in his campaign. I thought he wasn't really serious. He's just some dude that, wanted a little bit of recognition, a little bit of fame. But when I followed his campaign, uy, seryoso pala to talaga si Drew. That's why I voted for him. That's why I knew that all his efforts were in earnest. Hindi lang pakitang tao, and that he was really running seriously to the mayoral position. So that's why I voted for him. So that's why I consider myself lucky and honored to run alongside him this time around. Ayun. Salamat, Drew. Turning it back to you.
Maraming salamat for very, very kind words, Eric. Thank you so much. Finally, at least, meron na tayong kakampi compared to, kasi, yun nga, if you saw the videos, it was just me walking around by myself. By the way, good evening to, sorry, medyo nakaharang kasi yung camera. Good evening to everyone who posted on the comment section. Sorry kasi nakaharang yung camera. By the way, we're also very sorry for the delay kasi akala namin naka-live na kami. So we were talking kanina. And then turns out hindi kailangan, meron pang extra steps na kailangan. But here we are, finally na tanggal na yung bugs, I guess. So yun, nagpapakilala lang naman kami. By the way, my name's Drew, originally from Tambo. Been here my entire life, actually. Ayun, yun lang naman. Ang papakilala lang naman kami. Maybe we can start with platforms because you mentioned you have a lot for
Mm-hmm.
yours actually na medyo aligned actually kami kaya rin nag-usap.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Mine is really a general plan of action aligned with what you have, right? But what they put there that's different would be my own advocacies, meaning what I care about, what I think is important to Parañaque, what I'm not currently seeing in Parañaque. So if I summarize yung 10 na nilista ko doon, right? And what we always give as a disclaimer, we're not promising anything. These are our general plan of actions. Kasi nga, if I win or if Drew wins, we're not just the only thing in the system. There's an establishment that we have to work with. So the general plan of actions, these are what we want to push for the most. So as far as I'm concerned, what I want to push for would be number one, empowering the people. So in the plans that I have, you see their plans about crowdsourcing. You see they're giving more power to the people in the sense that ang lakas ng effect ng social media in our current society. How come our public officials are not listening to social media, right? So I want to encourage that. I want to reward that so that we call out, we're able to call out, and we listen to the people who are saying, "Oy, palpak to," right? Without being onion skinned. The public officials should be able to take that as a crowdsourcing idea or a crowdsourcing mechanism and reward the people who honestly say that, oh, ito palpak to, o ito very good to, or proud Paranaque, right? So that people are directly participating in democracy. I mean, ideally, that's what we want to see, right? Direct participation in democracy. And one way to be able to fuel that would be, hey, makinig tayo dun sa mga tao, hindi lang lip service during election time, but during normal times, let's ask them, ano ba yung kailangan nyo? Ano ba, through the help of social media, what can we help you in bettering? And who are the public servants that we need to reward because they're doing a great job, right? And then the other pieces that I have would be bringing my expertise from my professional experience. I always like to say na laking call center ako, right? I started in the call center industry 2008. 2008, medyo bata-bata pa yung call center industry. So I grew up there. I was a trainer, I was an agent, I was an operations manager, and eventually I became an operations director. So I'm heavily steeped there. And in the Philippines, alam natin, customer service sucks. It's very dismal, right? And coming from a BPO industry standpoint, it's very sad na kung ano man yung binibigay natin sa mga clients natin, sa ating mga customers, we don't see that in our daily lives, much more in public service. Sa mga private companies nga, we don't see that. How much more in public office? So I'd like to see that level of professionalism that we see in our work in the BPO industry applied in public service. The way that we expect good customer service in our work, bakit walang ganun sa public service, right? So I want to be able to apply that and give that level of professionalism to public service, right? And thirdly, it's about rewarding our public servants, right? Our teachers. I think education is a key piece of of our development as a nation, as a city. So dapat yung mga alam naman natin, yung mga teacher na napakababa ng kanilang mga pasahod, ng kanilang benefits. We hope that we're doing something to be able to get that better, right? And another cornerstone apart from that, maybe number four, if, if I can put it that, would be to replicate Drew yung best practices. I always say na yes, newcomers kami ni Drew. Hindi kami galing sa political clan, political family. But what can we do to be able to make the system better? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have pockets of excellence in the Philippines. Konti pa lang, pero we have pockets of excellence, right? We can replicate those great practices, best practices in Paranaque, hopefully. If we're seeing in let's say Pasig City, na ang dami lang progressive ideas that they're doing in terms of healthcare, in terms of anti-EPAL mechanisms that they're doing in terms of transparency, accountability, why can't we do that? If we're seeing in Quezon City, ang dami lang ideas that they're doing on a daily basis na hindi lang during the campaign period, let's say free transportation, the right to care card for LGBTQIA individuals, why can't we do that here, right? If we're seeing in other LGUs na kaya nilang makakuha ng unqualified opinion from COA, from Quezon City, from Muntinlupa, they get that year on a year on a year basis. Why can't we apply that here and do those best practices? So, sorry to be long-winded, pero those are the key foundations from the, let's say, general plan of actions that I bring forth.
No problem, actually. Thank you. Most of the things that I wanted to say then, kasi parang, kasi I'll just share, yung earlier experience was someone commented saying na, um, hindi naman kayo kilala, or ikaw, ako specifically, hindi naman ako kilala. Marami na rin nag-promise before me of the same things. Kasi naghahanap siya ng specifics. For example, restructure ng services, government services. The question was,
Mhm.
syempre, ang unang takot nila, obviously, would be, magtatanggal ka ba ng mga tao? Yun yung unang takot nila. Which is understandable. But, one, of course not. Two, kasi
Mhm.
kayo din yung mga nagtatrabaho doon. 'Di ba? As in, kayo, alam niyo
Mhm.
na yung process and everything. But, number two also, I would like to add, um, I would employ an actual expert in the field, industrial engineer,
Mhm.
maybe even a doctor psychologist. Depende, I don't know, I'm not sure. But most likely, someone who has actually been doing it for years and has studied for years, diba? Compared to me, I don't want to pretend na I know all
Mhm.
the answers. And I can't specify. I'm sorry, I want to medyo mahina daw sa live. Sorry. Hinanaan ko kasi baka sobrang lakas. Ayan. Sana okay na. um, but yeah, where was I? Um, I was thinking na, oo, merong gusto ko ng specifics pero I'm not in the place and position to be able to do so. That's number one for me. Also, at the same time, meron din kasi nagtanong na rin sa chat, help ease traffic. I already interviewed someone from a year ago or this year, si Cyrus, who's a doctor engineer who came back from Germany. He finished his doctorate degree in Germany and wanted to come back here and help ease traffic. He's the expert in mobility. So, on that note, I would employ him. How, especially and specifically, how he's being employed by Vico Soto of Pasig to ease the
Mhm.
traffic
Mhm.
there, diba? He has the solutions. He has better solutions. I have solutions, but he has better solutions. He's studied for years for it and about it. So, that's
Mhm.
my answer. And then the next question was for how long. Um, I wouldn't know. If we have Pasig as a president, 6 years,
Mhm.
5 years, 6 years to fix all the problems that we have in government, in local government, diba?
Mhm. Mhm. I think that that's very important that you employ not just yung mga, the people in your employ, yung mga nandyan na dahil they supported you during the elections, but actual experts who may not even agree with your politics, right? But they have first-hand knowledge of what you're trying to solve. And to add to that, parang yung idea ng People's Council that we've heard from the past elections from Lenny herself, right? Na, okay, so let's come up with a council to solve, let's say, yung, for example, basura or flooding that are gonna meet on a regular basis, right? Because the town hall idea, it's not a new idea, right? Politicians need to be doing town halls on a regular basis. But for us in Paranaque, we see that every now and then, pero that's more of a lip service, if you will, or that's more of an ad hoc, let's say, occurrence that happens. If somebody's clamoring for something, okay, magpa-meeting tayo, pero there needs to be that regular mechanism wherein meron na talagang people's council from different, let's say, sectors, from different barangays that meet on a regular basis so that they know the problems they are solving. Let's say kung specific lang sa baha, should be about that, and then the timelines that they're working with and that they are presenting to the public as a whole para alam natin kung saan na gumugulong yung kanilang ideas and how they're implementing that, right?
Actually, ang nangyayari nga, 'di ba, parang ano lang, parang show off lang. We won this award, we did this, we finished this project, and then that's about it. 'Di ba?
Mm.
Parang pakita
Yep.
lang, fluff the feathers na magaling kami, may ginagawa kami. Ito, dito namin ginastos yung mga buwis ninyo, 'di ba?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the next question is it even enough? 'Di ba? Kasi parang kung nagagawa nyo na isa sa mga frustrations ko talaga kasi since natanong na rin naman sa chat, um, kung ano yung una kong ordinance daw ba or ano tawag niya, executive order. I think it's ordinance. Executive
Mm-hmm.
orders reserved for the president. The most likely, the first one is tanggalin na natin yung lahat ng serbisyo lang po and yung mga yours in public service. Obvious na. As in, sobrang obvious na kung bakit nandun at pinapalitan every single time. I don't understand kung bakit kinailangan palitan. Kasi parang the plan is babalik din naman yung isa. So, tagtatanggal ulit, babalik din yung dati. Is that it? 'Di ba?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't understand kung bakit kailangan. So, let's just also remove it entirely. All of it, every single one. Since
Mm-hmm.
gawin na nating anti-EPAL talaga. As in, wala nang names sa
Yep.
projects, yung mga
Please.
tents, di ba yung mga tents na ginagamit for, sometimes for emergency
Mm-hmm.
purposes, sometimes for fiestas, di ba? Nagpapahiram ng tent tas may um, pangalan nila.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
nakakapagod.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think, right? Now that's very basic, right? And we understand why they're doing that because sa Pilipinas, name recall is everything, right? But at the same time, diba, medyo mahiya ka naman, a little bit of delicadeza, right? Hindi mo pera yan, right? So even little things like yung servisyo lang po, or even the initials, or even the colors of the politicians, that's not your money. It's not your project, right? So hopefully in the future, medyo matagal pa to, somebody in the national level would ban that. Pero very unlikely. Maybe patay na tayo, hindi pa nangyayari yun, knowing the Philippines, right? Pero it can be done. Pasig has done it, right? Other countries do it all the time without any problems, right? Like give more credit to the Filipino voter na wag naman, 'di ba? Hindi it's not your money.
Exactly. Sobrang nakakapagod. As in, yun nga yung reason, yung parang yung my very, very, very first video here on this page is parang my opening lines were, pagod na ako mapagod. Laban tayo. Kasi, guys, gising naman tayo. Ang branding dapat, yun nga, thanks Macy, ang sabi niya, ang branding sa Pasig ay Lunsod ng Pasig. Di ba dapat ang branding is Lunsod
Mm-hmm.
ng Parañaque or Parañaque City, whichever we choose. Basta
Mm-hmm.
Parañaque ang prominent
Be
kasi
credited back, like somebody said to chat, to the taxpayers. 'Di ba sa ibang mga cities nga, like La Union and other cities, that's what they put. Thank you taxpayers, right?
yes.
Hindi thank you mayor, hindi thank you consi, right? No whatever face. Hindi namin kailangan ng mukha mo. We just need the project, right? And imagine the amount of money we spent on the branding for the politicians para ma-pull up yung recall nila, right? If you take that out easily, that's maybe an additional, I don't know, 10%, 20% of the budget, right? Just taking out the initials, taking out the thank you mayor, taking out the thank you faces na we don't want to see your freaking faces.
Yeah, actually, speaking of, I don't know if part kayo or kasama kayo dun sa mga nagbiyahe sa libreng sakay o way back during the pandemic. Pero, especially this was during campaign period, mas prominent na sinisigaw ko talaga. Kasi before, yung sa libreng sakay, tatalikod ako kasi people don't realize and recognize that it's their taxes that are paying for yung libreng sakay. So, ang gagawin ko bago ako bumaba ng libreng sakay, tatalikod ako and I'd say, maraming salamat po sa mga taxpayers at meron tayong ganito, and then I'd alight. And I hope from that small act, sana ma-realize nila na sa kanila nang galing yung sarili ng comfort na nai-experience nila, especially during those times. Yes, thank you Macy. Sorry. Kung magaling ka talaga, maalala ka kahit walang pangalan mo. Di ba nga, sa Pasig, wala namang branding ni
Mm-hmm.
Vico anywhere. O sino ang tinatawag nila?
Lahat. Asik.
Sino ang binoboto
Correct.
nila paulit-ulit? Just do your job. Do it properly. Do it right. Wala tayong
Mm-hmm.
problema. As in, aasenso tayong lahat. Hence, nag-campaign,
Mm-hmm.
tayo. So, yung mga sa nagtatanong before, it works both ways. It's tayo. Also, pati na rin, tayo. Kasi para sa atin to. Hindi lang para sa amin, para sa akin, para kay Eric. Hindi. Ginagawa namin to
Mm-hmm.
para sa lahat actually.
Mhm. We want to emphasize na this is going to be, David and Goliath, right? Wala kaming makinarya, wala kaming pera. So whatever success we're going to achieve would be because of you guys as well, who are like-minded individuals, right? So yung mga maliliit na actions that you guys are doing, pagkwento, sa kapamilya nyo, sa mga kamag-anak nyo, whoever, that goes a long way, right? Because that's what we want to achieve. Like, there should not be an obstacle na dapat marami kang pera for you to serve in public office, right? Na dapat kilala ka, super famous for you to serve in public office. Anybody should be able to vie for public office. Hindi dapat natatakot na, uy, wala akong pera. Dapat, na, number one, nandun yung puso, your dedication, right? And you shouldn't even be thinking about the money. Money should not be an afterthought because it's the dedication that's important, right? So with your help, sana mas marami pa tayong marating na hearts and minds so that they know that the foundation of this campaign is transparency and accountability because that's really the cornerstone na we want to keep hitting on. So lahat ng platform namin, lahat ng plans namin, all of that will be rooted in transparency and accountability.
Yes, mismo. As in, number one, wala naman kaming kailangang itago. Wala naman kaming mga binubulsa na kahit ano. Kaya, wala kaming kailangang itago. I mean, kahit ano yung tanong nyo, madali namin masasagot. Kasi, yun yung gusto namin. Kasi ang gusto namin para sa inyo eh. Hindi naman para sa amin. As in, nag-usap nga kami before, sabi namin, parang, in all honesty, hindi naman namin kailangan gawin to. Pero, someone has to care. Kinailangan natin ng mga taong talagang handa, tumindig, at lumaban. Kasi, kung wala, ano na lang mangyayari? Titingin na lang tayo, parang unti-unti na lang natutunaw yung paligid natin, di ba?
Right. If no one is gonna stand up, yung wala kang titindig, ganun, status ko. Ano ba yung status ko sa Paranaque? Pasapasahan lang sa mga Olivares, right? Sa mga kaalyado nila, same old surnames, right? If we see the same old surnames, can we expect a different result? Di ba? Sabi nga, sabi nga ng mga sabi-sabi dyan, kung paulit-ulit, pag untog mo ng ulo mo sa bato, mag-expect ka pa ba ng iba? Wala na, right? So for us, itong maliit na ginagawa namin, we know, we're not crazy. We know we're unlikely to win. Very unlikely, right? But with the little action we're doing, nakikita ng tao, uy, may alternative pala. Uy, pwede palang merong ibang ideas outside of the Olivares reality, outside of, let's say, Iliana reality, o kung sino man, Bernabe or Zaide reality, that we've always experienced from time immemorial. Pwede pala na yung platform mo is, we're gonna run without money. Pwede palang yung platform mo is, ayaw namin na epal kami. Ayaw namin na meron kaming tarp. Ayaw namin na meron kaming jingle. Ayaw namin ng anything trapo related. We're the antithesis of trapo. At ang nakita nyo before, ayaw namin nun because we don't want the same old practices to be applied moving forward. So if people see that, kahit na matalo kami during this election, na-plant na namin yung seed na, uy, pwede naman pala, right? So unti-unti, we're knowing at that system, we're knowing na, okay, paunti-unti, na okay, maybe this time hindi ko may mananalo, next cycle may ibang tatakbo, makukuha nila yung mas maraming boto, we are contributing to that conversation na pwede kang tumakbo on transparency, accountability, and no money but pure heart and pure volunteerism lang yung magdadrive sa atin.
Yes. Also, thank you, Rocky, for kind words in the comments. Thank you, everyone, actually. Nagpapakilala lang naman. Yung iba dito, actually, kilala naman na kami. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for the support. So yun lang. Kung meron kayong ibang questions, we're all ears. We'll be more than happy. I think meron lang delay na 20 seconds, 30 seconds yung difference. So if anyone wants to ask questions, please do so. We'll be more than happy to answer them. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Kenneth. Thank you. Yes. Share po platforms ninyo. Yun nga, tulad na lang ng dati, for me, specifically, wala naman kasi nagbago. It's as easy as one, two, three. Number one, of course, transparency. Obviously. Kasi, like I said earlier, wala kaming tinatago, wala kaming kailangan itago. It's easy to showcase na parang, oh, ito ang plano, ito ang gagawin, ito ang budget, at dito ginastos, ito yung mga binayaran, ito yung naging resulta ng project. This is for the Filipino people, well, Parañaque, the people of Parañaque. Yun. And then, next meeting, ganun ulit. As in, wala naman kaming kailangan itago kasi. Yun yung number one. Number two for me, basically, gawing efficient, effective ang lahat ng government services. Kasama na rin yung digitization. As much as possible, kung pwede, pipindot na lang sa phone ng mga kailangan nyo. So, for example, kailangan ng business permit. Pindot na lang, konting fees, which I was surprised to hear inabot ng 15,000 pesos ang isang sole proprietorship, which in my head shouldn't be that expensive because you're just asking for a permit, diba? So we'll look into that if we can. I'm not sure. Yun. Kung pwedeng ganun, na isang pindot na lang. Kung hindi pa rin kaya, tulad ng sinabi ko dati. For example, a senior citizen hindi marunong gumamit ng internet. Kung marunong silang gumamit ng SMS, gawin natin yung same method sa SMS before. So yung parang text 123 for Parañaque City help desk or services, and then you may reply, and then pipindot ka na number, and then babalik, diba? And then afterwards, kung hindi pa rin talaga kaya, or the person living with disability, or hirap maglakad, lumabas, si barangay ang lalapit sa inyo, sila ang pupunta sa inyo. Just call them, tell them na, oh, gusto ko ng specific so-and-so government service, na healthcare service or whatever, or yung bigay ayuda or whatever. Regardless of what you need, diba? Dapat yung government yung nandyan sa'yo, hindi yung kayo naghahabol sa gobyerno nyo. Yun yung mahirap. So yun.
That's very indicative ng Philippine government, right? Parang tatanghod ka pa, right?
Yeah.
Please, tulungan nyo ako, right? Like, it's a very sad state of affairs, like sa mga hospitals, right? And whenever I talk to people, like I'm doing a lot of interviews, na street interviews, yun yung sinasabi nila, sana may healthcare tayong maayos, right? Sa Parañaque, right? And parang pipila ka pa, ang dami mong parang you literally have to beg for a guarantee letter sa kung ano-anong government agencies o sa kung ano-anong politiko, right? Whereas we're seeing na in PhilHealth, di ba, ang daming budget nililipat lang kung saan-saan, right? Wherein it should have been used for PhilHealth, right? Wala, our healthcare coverage is shit, right? So, excuse my French, pero yeah, yun yung normal feedback.
Pwede ba yun? As in, baka ma-mute tayo. Relax. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Dapat nasa city website ang lahat ng purchased contracts na awarded ng city. Tama. Exactly. Di ba nga? Transparency. Kasi parang, bakit biglaan na lang, tulad nung nangyari nung very first, sa first 100 days ng mayor, di ba? Bakit biglaan na lang nag-change ng hands yung sa city waste management? Di ba? Nagulat-gulat ng lahat, and then, nagkaroon ng problems ng transition, and then, yun, someone dug up na inabot ng new 400 million peso contract out of nowhere, and the services are from dati daily silang nagpipick up, tapos parang naging 3-4 times a week na lang, I believe. So yung mga ganong klase na dapat dapat I'm not questioning it, and dapat matagal na actually. Do you have any plans on improving the process of student allowance? Well, in my head, and also based on past interviews, is kayo pa mismo, di ba, parang yung parents pa mismo pipila, napakahabang pila to get the service, the allowance, which I believe is 500? 1,000 pesos? I'm not sure. Pero magpapahirapan pa ng pila, tapos kailangan pa ipakita na either supporter ka ng specific candidate or ng specific government official, para merong extra nudge sa line, parang express lane, di ba? Parang pahirapan just for something na pinaramis mo sa children, which is should have been easy enough as everyone has GCash or everyone can get GCash. So napaka dali na lang na i-register lahat sila with their own GCashes. It should be that simple and just send. Hindi mo na kailangan ng proof na ito botante to, or kilala ko to, bumoto to for me, ganun, diba? Para or supporter ko talaga to. Napaka bigat na kailangan may palakasan, may kampihan, diba?
Mhm.
Quality and current situation mismo. Okay. Actually, ang daming questions, and ang plano was introduction, but to answer also, PCC was established by the administration of Olivares. What are your plans to improve the quality and current situation ng mismong state university? Well, tulad na rin ng sinabi ko nung una kanina, full restructure to properly manage it. I can't be the one to decide kasi hindi ko background ang education. Hindi ko background ng mag-manage ng state university. Of course, get an expert and in order to determine what is the most effective means to be able to administer proper establishment of administration of PCC. So yeah,
And
do
it's
you
like
have anything
any,
to
let's say, problem, right? You look at the data points, you look at the benchmark, right? So in PCC, it's very good it was established, right? So very credit where credit is due, right? But you need to be able to say, okay, what is good, right? Compare it to the other state universities and even outside beyond the Philippines, right? That we shouldn't be happy with mediocrity. Okay, nandyan yan, may public university, but it should not stop there. How does it compare to the performance of the other state universities, right? We're spending money on it. We're throwing money for the infrastructure, but if the quality is not up to par, di ba, parang naglolokohan lang tayo, right? Parang we're just putting warm bodies. We're just having a diploma mill na nandyan siya, pero hindi naman quality yung education, right? Let's say, for example, UP, right? Na nagsislip na siya in terms of quality of education. Hindi na siya number one. When you look at the rankings, right? Naungusan na siya ng Ateneo in terms of overall, let's say excellence, right? But we're throwing a lot of money in it. For us, okay na yung UP, but we should not be happy there. We should always be comparing what is good, hindi lang sa Pilipinas, hindi lang sa Parañaque, but go beyond that, right? So that we aspire, we replicate the pockets of excellence, we replicate on what is working, we take out kung anong hindi gumagana, right?
Exactly. Also, nagtatanong kung in case we win sa campaign, anong steps magkaroon ng law school? Actually, hindi lang law school, the entire offer ng university, wala tayo. Also, pasok na rin natin, wala rin tayong sports programs, wala rin tayong art programs, lahat wala tayo actually. Meron mang para lang masabi na meron tayo pero not actually anything. But yes, kasama yung buong suite ng pwede nilang i-offer sa university, part siya na pwedeng gawin dito sa Parañaque mismo. Like, hopefully, an actual University of Parañaque. Hopefully, an actual Center for the Arts of Parañaque. Hopefully, an actual sports complex. Parañaque Sports Complex. Imagine those things here. And then, tayo mangunguna. Imagine that for the future for us, diba? Ang sarap pakinggan. Pero, until then, everything here starts with you guys. For everyone to collectively realize na ang laki ng pagkukulang ng gobyerno sa atin. And for us to demand more, that's why we're here. To offer said more, kung pwede at makakaya, of course. Matagal na broken roads natin, hindi na ma-manage na maayos. Even the roads going to the city hall, hindi maayos. Actually, hindi lang yung roads eh. Sidewalk. Madalas wala, di ba? Literally sa kalsada ako naglalakad. Yes, I commute a lot. Actually, Eric commutes a lot also. We'd rather commute rather than take our cars. So, alam namin, as in, feel namin yung naglalakad sa kalsada instead of sa sidewalk kasi walang sidewalk. At kung meron man, nakaharang yung poste, nakaharang yung supposedly merong yung papunta sa City Hall to 'di ba merong parang overhang na parang pangtago sa ulan at saka um, sa araw yung sa may bandang palengke pa lang papuntang City Hall. So yun pa lang may nakaharang sa gitna na supposedly protected siya na dire-diretso yung lakad mo. So, yung something as simple as that, hindi lang kalsada, the entire structure, or kung pwede nating ibalik, at least man lang yung sidewalks. And, pag-isipan na rin natin yung sidewalks na hindi lang siya for able people. People living this with disabilities would also want to traverse the city on their own. If maaari na sila lang mismo ang naglalakad, 'di ba? Na kaya nila kasi gusto nila i-prove na hindi sila burden. As in, let's understand that na meron silang ganong goal. And if you provide that opportunity na kahit hindi yung wheelchair, yung visually impaired, give opportunity for them na mag-navigate mag-isa sa loob ng city, di ba ang sarap ng feeling nun for them? And everyone else, well, yung kung pwedeng kailangan ng braille, um, for access also for others, especially if hindi nila makita, for example, elevator. And hindi lang sa city projects, also if we can, we will implement those inside buildings, especially yung mga bagong gawa. And kung pwede mag-retrofit sa mga matatanda ng buildings na either historic or talagang binibisita, kinakailangan puntahan, let's fix those two. Let's enable everyone to be able to traverse the city properly and easily compared to kung sino lang may kotse, which is ang bigat, ang hirap.
Masyadong car-centric. And I want to circle back to all of the plans that we have, diba? You may think na medyo grand, medyo ambisyoso itong mga sinasabi naming progressive ideas, but you have to remember that a lot of the money na meron tayong budget sa Paranaque, hindi tayo salat sa pere, but there are so much fat that we can take away from the spend. Like what I said, yung mga initials pa lang. If you get rid of the initials in all of the government projects, that's easily millions of pesos you can spend on something else, right? And then the other model that we're looking at, yung sa Pasig nga, we keep going back to that because medyo mataas ang tingin namin kay Vico because of all the progressive implementations he's doing, right? He got rid of the SOP. Napaka, let's say, foundational yan in politics na laging sa whatever project may 20%, 30% na tongpats, right? Minsan 40, 50%. But with them taking that out with the initiative of the mayor himself na, uy, wala nang tongpats, they were saving up to 1 billion pesos a year. Sabi nga niya, itong ginagawa nating bagong City Hall, parang libre natin na nagawa to just because of all the changes that they did. So if we're able to do a little bit of the cost cutting of the red tape, getting rid of the red tape and the cutting of the fat, ang dami nating ma-achieve without even asking for more money, right?
Yeah, exactly. Next question is, what's your opinion on our current healthcare program as far as constituent benefits, facilities, equipments? Meron, and it's just for show. Yung whatever we have for healthcare, it's just for show. Kasi I actually tried, um, hindi naman sa akin kailangan ko ng medical assistance. I just tried, and kasi parang, ang dami na nagsabi sa akin na parang 4 5 a.m. pa lang pumipila na sila sa OSPAR 1 or 2, pili sila. And then by that time, kahit na sobrang aga nila, parang number 70, number 60, number 80 sila sa pila. And then ang service nila is nasa 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Parang 12 hours ka na nakapila, may sakit ka pa or may kinailangan ka tulong, tapos ang tagal-tagal mo, 'di ba, na nakapila. So, from that point pa lang, obvious na tinayo lang yan kasi kinailangan na ng project or kinailangan lang nandun nakapaskil yung mga pangalan nila as usual, obviously, na parang, oh, meron kaming ospital ng Parañaque. Kasi 'di ba, project by blank 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 mayor, 'di ba?
Mm-hmm.
Ang galing.
Mm-hmm.
Pero in truth, nandyan lang siya for show. Most likely also underpaid and overworked yung mga staff ng mga facilities na ito, obviously, compared to, kaya sila umaalis. Kaya rin parang ang daming umaalis at looking for greener pastures in another country. Kasi totoo. Kami,
Mm-hmm.
both, kami ni Eric, we can attest na mas madali ang buhay. Although, yun nga, meron lang konting discrimination, tsaka yung hindi siya feeling na um, natural habitat pag nasa ibang bansa ka. Oo, maraming pera, pero that's about it. Comfortable ka, pero hindi mo na-feel na you belong. Yun yung difference. Pero, daming pera. Dami kang pwedeng padalang pera dito sa pauwi, if ever. Lalo na tumataas na ang value ng dollar, humihina na ang peso, so masaya ang mga nagpapadala. Pero, syempre, mas malungkot tayo na nandito na kailangan mag-convert from peso to dollar. People don't understand na ang hirap na pag tumataas ang value, ay pag mababa ang value ng peso.
Mm-hmm. And this is something we talked about too. Now, it's very easy to give up sa Pilipinas, right? Sabi nga nila, napakahirap mahalin ng Pilipinas dahil sa politicians that we keep electing time and again, right? But if people like us, yung kaming mga naglalakas ng loob, and then yung like-minded individuals that are listening to our ideas, if all of us give up, right? Ano mangyayari sa Pilipinas, right? Right now, may mga medyo huwaran naman na public officials like Rico, like let's say si Lenny, sila Kiko, right? Sila Benjamin Magalong ng Baguio, right? There are pockets of excellence. What if all of them gave up? What if all of them, ay, wala na, alis na lang tayo. I'm just gonna care about myself, alis ako ng Pilipinas, or I'm just gonna keep to myself and mind my own business, right? Lalong walang nangyayari sa Pilipinas, right? We're already like feeling very poorly about the public service in the Philippines. How much more if we don't give any crap about it, right? How much more if we don't care?
Exactly. Ang bigat actually. Um, tulad na ng kwento ko kay Eric before, one of my inspirations was, yun nga, nasa ibang bansa ako. And then, for that country, they celebrate their independence, not day, season, for an entire month. As in, magse-celebrate sila they call it the independence season. And they're very proud of their country to a point where they can and want to wear national costume to work, that they're that proud, na nakakaingit na parang sana meron din tayong ganun. Sana if ever manalo and mapunta tayo into office, sana magawa natin yun na they can be outside of the country and be proud na we're
Mm-hmm.
pioneering in Parañaque, doing this, doing that, na very progressive, na magandang ginagawa, may alaga sa tao, di ba? Parang sana dumating yung araw na yun. Okay, daming pera
And
ng Parañaque, highest tax rates. Yes, highest tax. Bakit? Number one, let's say, kahit na isa lang, one hotel casino, pumili ka ng kahit anong hotel casino na nasa Parañaque, pumili ka ng isa dyan. Imagine how much yung kinikita niya per month, let's say. Kahit na sabihin mong maliit na ang, let's say, 100 million pesos, and kahit na sabihin mong 1% lang nung tax niyan per month ang pupunta sa Parañaque. Imagine 1 million pesos every month. Kahit na sabihin mong yun lang for one hotel casino. Ang laki na ng ang dami mo nang pwedeng paggawin in a year. That's 12 million times ilang hotels yan? 4? 5? 5? 6 na ngayon, di ba? Parang ganun. Parang umabot na sa 6 hotel casinos. So imagine 12 million times 6 per year. Di ba? That's 80 million? 80, no, sorry. 12 times 6. 72. That's 72 million pesos for the year. Minimum. As in, parang,
Mm-mm.
we're just assuming 1% of the taxes of those hotels na
Mm.
napupunta sa Parañaque. So, imagine that.
And tama yung pinoint out nung isang nag-comment na even if we're one of the higher, let's say, tax incomes sa city sa Metro Manila, you wouldn't feel it, right? Ramdam nyo ba? Of course not. It's bare minimum service in Parañaque, right?
French words.
Works,
French
pero
words.
it barely works.
Ingat tayo sa French words. So yun, yung sabi din ito, favorite yung start ng COVID vaccination for kids. Pinahinto yung distribution dahil hinihintay si Mayor dumating para sa photo ops. Ipatong mo pa na ako mismo nag-apply ako at least, I think we were allowed to apply somewhere around Jan or Feb pa lang. So I did the entire procedure, I filled up the application, sent it, sent all the details na kailangan nila to contact me. Come October, wala pa rin. So imagine almost an entire year, wala akong vaccination, waiting. Tapos sabi ng friend ko
Mm-mm.
from Mandaluyong, or actually nagbukas na si Mandaluyong kasi na-vaccinate na nila lahat. Sobrang effective nila, nagbibigay na sila ng vaccine sa ibang cities. So nag-apply ako, as in literally less than a day. Actually, within the day, nag-reply sila, oh, tomorrow, come to blah blah blah
Uh-huh.
location, get your vaccination. Ang bilis! Literally!
Yeah, naalala ko yun, man. Like, everybody, almost people you know in Parañaque, lahat sila, uy, san ba pwede? Wala pa kasi nangyayari sa Parañaque. Like, for me, I went to Quezon City, wife ko went to San Juan, I think, kasi desperate na tayo eh. Lahat umuusad na, pero tayo, wala. Stagnant pa din.
Yeah. As in, sobrang, and then, pumatong pa na yung system nila mismo na Mandaluyong ang may follow-up for the second round of shots. Imagine! As in, may message ako na parang, your second booster vaccination is ready. Come to blah 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 this location. In Mandaluyong. Imagine, and here, parang at around that time, first round pa lang yung ibang mga tao dito sa Parañaque. So, something must be wrong. Obviously, something is going wrong for that to happen, di ba? Si Katrina, paano ba kayo naging iba sa mga politiko na kaupo na ngayon? Easy, transparency. Actually, more than that, it's kasi parang pinagtanong sa akin ano yung ginamit mo for the campaign last time. It was simple, brutal honesty. Because I had nothing to hide and I had everything to show other people na parang this is what's happening, this is what they're missing, or ito yung pagkukulang ng gobyerno. Brutal honesty. I just show them the truth. Yun yung actual
Mm.
main na bala ko nung campaign last time. And I think everyone
Piggyback
felt
on
that.
that.
Mhm. Go.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, but we don't carry the usual political baggage. And when I say that, we don't come from a political family. This is our first time, for me, first time running. Kay Drew, second time running. So we don't have all the trappings ng usual politico. Sabi nga ni Vico, I'll keep quoting Vico, the more money you spend for a political office, the more you expect to get back from it. Nga, kailangan kitain mo lahat ng ginastos mo, right? And in the same way we're doing this live now, yung transparency, like bringing it back to the people. I would bet na kami yung very few candidates, if not the only candidates in this cycle, that would do this kind of live. Na pwede nyo kaming tanungin, Q&A, whatever it is, whether it is in Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube, sasagutin namin kayo directly. Not some surrogate, not some troll farm, pero kami mismo, because we have nothing to hide. We're regular people with regular jobs, na merong regular na observations about Parañaque that want to volunteer ourselves to be able to better the system, diba?
Yes, exactly. Next question, sir. Ano pong plans na gawing ligtas ang Parañaque? Maraming kabataan nalulung sa bisyo and we can samahuli sa footbridge nagiging threat sa kaligtasan. Well, number one, a lot of those things kasi parang it's either broken family or missed opportunities or natanggalan ng opportunities, hindi makahanap ng trabaho, hindi makahanap ng opportunity para mapag-aral sa sports and arts or Actually, maraming factors yan. And we have to understand na the only reason why they're there or napunta sila doon is because maraming nangyari beforehand ang hindi na-solve or hindi nasolusyonan beforehand. So, let's look doon sa source, hindi tayo sa um, band-aid solutions. Let's look at yung nasa likod, kung ano yung pinanggalingan ng problema and try to solve that and fix it from there. For everyone else who's already out there, kung yun, kunyari, yung isang bata is hindi lang siya makapag-aral. Walang pera, walang pambili ng uniform. That's simple enough. That's easy. Provide opportunities for everyone equally lang naman eh. It should be as simple as that. Hindi siya as much as possible. Actually, hindi pala. Hindi tayo maghahanap ng band-aid solutions. Ang lahat ng solutions na gagawin natin at hahanapin natin is yung long-term and yung straight towards the root cause. Hindi yung, kasi ganyan. Basta, palagay ng footbridge kasi delikado mag delikado tumawid, di ba? Parang, palagay footbridge, palagay ng tapalan yung kalsada, that's it. Pero hindi nila sinusolve yung actual problem, which is causing bigger problems later on. Sila yung okay. So nag-ano na sila, meron ng bonding na nangyayari sa chat kasi nag-agree na sila ng lahat. Tas at napupunta lahat.
Nice.
Uh,
And if you can do that, the favor of sharing yung live natin ngayon, that would be very helpful so that kahit na hindi sila nandito at the
right
very
now,
moment, somebody else can replay that, yeah?
yeah.
And more people who don't know us will get to know us, even a glimpse, para medyo curious naman sila, sundot-sundot lang ng content.
Yeah. May tanong for you actually. I've seen your platform, the Espanyol sa Parañaque. What is it about po and why do you want to push it in Parañaque?
Yeah, I'm very very happy to answer that. So my personal advocacy is Spanish language in the Philippines because I've seen how it can change the lives ng mga fellow Filipinos ko. And I want to encourage it and push it sa Parañaque because there are no other cities that are taking the lead on that. In fact, medyo nakalimutan na yung Spanish in the Philippines. That's why I've made it my personal advocacy. That's why I'm a content creator that only pushes that. When I started maybe 5 years ago, ako lang yung gumagawa ng content about Spanish in Espanyol tungkol sa Pilipinas, tungkol sa iba't ibang, let's say, aspects of the country. Now, I want to do that in Parañaque as a personal advocacy, as an extension for that. Kasi walang ibang gumagawa. Imagine if we can be a center of excellence for Parañaque, bilang Parañaque, of reviving Spanish in the Philippines, right? And why am I adamant in pushing Spanish? There are three reasons. Number one would be personal economics, right? Ang middle class natin in the Philippines was expanded by the BPO industry. Almost 2 million ang nasa BPO industry na. And because of that one single factor, lumaki yung middle class natin. Maraming naging well-off. So, napakalaki ng pasasalamat natin dyan because we became a powerhouse in that industry. Just imagine if the BPO industry would be helped by us knowing not just English, pero Spanish as well, right? We're gonna become an even bigger powerhouse. Mas matutulungan yung Pilipinas collectively kasi mas maraming opportunities yung darating. Pero when you're talking about the individual jobs ng mga Pinoy, a call center agent now earns, let's say, 35 pesos. 35,000, I should say, a month if they only know English. But if you know Spanish, which is relatively easy enough for us to learn compared to other languages, you can earn as easy as 80,000, 90,000, 100,000. That's a life-changing opportunity, life-changing amount of money that you can give any Filipino. Hindi na kailangan mga ibang bansa. You can stay here and be happy where you are by just learning that additional language. Secondly, yung tourism. Before, walang mga turistang mga Latinos, mga Espanyol yung nagpupunta sa Pilipinas. But because of the content we're doing, more content creators are doing more content, nalalaman na nila, uy, meron pa lang mga nag-Espanyol pa rin sa Pilipinas. And now I'm seeing more of them in different parts of the country, which I never saw even 5 years back. So ang daming jobs yung makikreate because of that. So paano kung yung Paranaque naging center of excellence by doing more pilot classes, encouraging more pilot classes sa elementary, di ba? Sa college, sa high school, tayo yung magiging model, then that's can be what set that's one of the reasons that can set Paranaque apart kasi nobody else is doing that. And thirdly, lastly lang, heritage kasi yung mga bayani natin, 'di ba? They spoke Spanish, they know Spanish very well. A lot of our history is steeped in Spanish. So I want a little bit more of an appreciation for that because if you know the language, mas ma-appreciate mo yung pagiging Filipino mo in reality. So thank you for asking that kay Princess Hapitana. Thank you.
Actually, no, funnily enough, kahit now, for us, we can easily learn Spanish kasi very close yung language. So if ever anyone wants to learn Spanish and or something, medyo, actually Spanish kahit Spanish lang, it's not that hard for us compared to, for example, Americans learning Spanish. Malaki yung gap nung English sa Spanish compared to us na maraming words ang borrowed from Spanish actually.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So if we start young in Paranaque, 'di ba? We're gonna be the only ones doing that and maraming opportunities ang mapupunta sa mga younger kids, younger generation, right?
Exactly. What are your credentials and what have you done so far as progressive candidates? Tanong ng dalawang tao separately actually.
Okay, you can take that and then I'll answer.
Oh, okay. Well, one, I finished political science. Di na natin kailangan ipagmalaki kung which school. I finished political science. I've handled campaigns before. I've also done research and analysis of different aspects of not just this government, of other governments also. Um, for me to be able to understand different aspects of different kinds of governments, for example, not just in democracy, parliamentary, all the other things. I've handled those things both in research, analysis, and actual application in campaigns. Also ask other researches, yung smaller ones. Actually, isa sa mga earlier na pamulat ko was I worked with United Nations International Labor Organization for a research for yung uh, being able to unionize within factory and BPO settings before kasi ang laking issue niya before as in this was way back as in 2011 I think or 2010 since sobrang tagal na it was a big issue before so yun yung isa sa mga earlier na pampamulat ko na meron palang ganon kahit nasa BPO na supposedly progressive and yung advanced sila, di ba, mag-isip supposedly. Tapos, merong parang anti-union or anti, may ganong clause sa mga contracts nila pala before. I didn't know. I didn't realize. Although me, myself, I already came from, also started working while I was in college in call center then. I know the feeling. Gets ko na naman sila. So yun, those are my backgrounds. I guess you can call those credentials on what allows me to be able to understand, analyze, gather information, and actually put into proper action what needs to be done, especially in the name of good governance, transparency, and the overall good, morally good for the society.
Good. For my part, graduate ng high school and college of public schools. So, I know the struggle, right? I'm not well off, so I know how it is to struggle in school. Yung medyo nahihirapan ka, but now medyo umunlad na tayo because of the my achievements in my professional background ko and what I bring to the table as a progressive candidate, right? I wanna, like what I said earlier, I wanna bring that sense or that expectation, that baseline of professionalism that's very lacking in public office, right? Medyo bara-bara tayo, medyo padrino system, right? You all know the drill, right? But if you're coming from a very, let's say, efficient from a very, let's say, young and agile industry like the BPO industry, which I spent more than a decade in, right? I started as an agent, I became a trainer, I became an operations manager, I became an operations director. You're very, very religious about operational excellence, meaning wala dapat red tape, wala dapat fat, wala dapat unnecessary processes. Your your aim is always operational efficiency. I want to bring that to the table. I want to have that idea na our customers, our clients is the public, right? So in our capacity as public officials, dapat ganun din yung expectation na kung anong kliyente mo, you need to be able to give all that with the utmost efficiency, right? And as far as progressive ideas are concerned, I follow, let's say, different progressive candidates hindi lang sa Pilipinas, but outside of the Philippines as well. I have my own content as a political, I do political commentary. So that's why I see what good looks like. I know what good looks like, and these are the ideas that I intend to implement as well. Ay nakikita natin yung mga Gen Z sa US or in Europe that are giving forth these ideas that we want to apply us here as well. Na medyo decades pa ahead, pero hopefully we're doing our little pieces here, and we're seeing other parts of the world as well that we hopefully can apply some ideas sa ating mahal na Parañaque, right? Oh, I'm not hearing anything anymore. Naka-mute
Oh,
yata, Drew.
sorry. Ayan. Um,
Ayan.
thank you very much. Very much well said. What are your thoughts about Pogo Hubs here in Parañaque? Um, whatever the law says, we will follow because we are required to follow. If they are told to be illegal, they are illegal. They're not supposed to be here. That should be that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Like there should not be any excuses whatsoever. Diba? Oo, kumikita si City. It's not an excuse. Again, transparency. Kasi parang, kumita si City, nararamdaman nyo ba? Diba?
Mm-hmm.
Wala.
Yep.
Wala naman tayong nararamdaman.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
action na balak gawin bilang sulputang Chinese national lalo na sa Tambo as nagkakos ng traffic. Well, initially, I think one of the biggest causes kasi parang they tried to decongest by creating yung mga condo units na malapit kung saan sila nag-work. That supposedly, pwede lang lakarin. Pero kasi wala naman tayong sidewalk. So, saan sila maglalakad? So, but in any case, I'm not one to discriminate against Chinese if they wanna provide for their family from here in the Philippines. That's allowed. But if you're asking for the management of them, kung paano sila mag-traverse in and out of quote-unquote work, whatever their quote-unquote work is, kahit na alam naman natin kung ano yung quote-unquote work na yan. Um, again, mobility, it's a question of mobility, and I would defer to the doctor engineer that I talked to before, na who would know better to be able to divert yung that amount of traffic kasi it's what happens is for everyone's information since I live literally beside it, naging Chinatown ang Tambo. As in, nagulat na lang ako na naging Chinatown siya. As in, literally, either, hindi lang dahil sa establishments, pati yung mga tao, naging Chinatown talaga siya. Nagulat na rin ako. Pati ako, pinagkakamalang in-check. Ini-English ako ng mga kapwa ko, taga-Paranaque. Although, gets ko naman kung bakit. Pero still, so yun, it's a question of mobility actually. Kung yung problem lang naman, kung naging legitimate yung business, kasi alam ko they shifted towards a call center option na. Ang problem lang is naging traffic lang talaga kasi ang daming taong lumalabas-pasok in a small congested space. So it's a question of mobility. It's not just because galit tayo sa kanila or dahil whatever because merong anti-racism comments. It's not about that. It's about fixing that core of the problem, which is just mobility. And then just fix that, and then we'd be good to go kasi wala naman tayo magiging problems kung legitimate yung magiging business nila, which I can't look into because I'm not officially part of Parañaque City. I don't have the power to be able to judge, okay, fair ang ginagawa nilang trabaho dyan. That's outside of my capabilities. Have I ever entertained the thought of pursuing law? Once in a blue moon, not anymore. Not because I'm old, but because I've shifted priorities. Having a platform related to promoting Espanol is completely detached to the realities that eto, this one goes out to you actually, Eric. Do you think having
Mm-hmm.
a platform related to promoting Espanol is completely detached to the realities that Parañaqueños are facing today? Shouldn't you be prioritizing platforms and programs concerning the general welfare and the lives of the peoples that may see more in Parañaque? Unemployment, poverty,
Mm-hmm.
transportation problems, garbage problems, and such.
Mm-hmm. That's a very valid point. So this is a personal advocacy that I wanted to be transparent na ilalagay ko talaga in my general plan of action, right? But that's a 10-point plan, and that's the at the very bottom of the 10-point plan that I have because I know kailangan nating i-solve yung pagkalam ng sikmura, kailangan nating i-solve muna yung ating, let's say, orderliness problems. That takes precedence over anything else, right? So if anything, that's more of a want for me to be able to give as an extra because of my knowledge on the field. Pero it's not on the top of my priority list. So that's why I put it there in number 10. But if you would look at the 10 things I have, all of the other things you mentioned about health, about traffic, all of those are addressed there. So tama, na hindi dapat yun ang yung priority. I totally agree with you. But it's not detached in a way na this is not something that we should be aiming to achieve. I want to contribute my expertise, and that's what we need to be doing as candidates anyway. What you need to be contributing, kung ano yung ipapromise mo, would be what you're really good at, and that's what I'm really good at. I'm proud to say that. So for me to withhold that in my general plan of actions, I think it's a disservice. But thank you for asking, and I totally agree with your opinion.
All right, thank you. I guess that should be all the time. Oh wait, may plano po ba kayo sa mga street children? Like I said, this should be, I guess we're cresting an hour. I guess this would be the last question for us. The I guess also to answer the question, um, we start from the very source, from the very root cause of the problem kung paano at bakit sila naging street children. Well, one, kung wala naman talaga sa parents, orphans, um, probably either work with disability or create Paranaque orphanage. Um, at, at sobrang daming solutions actually na pwede nating employ depending on kung bakit at paano sila naging street children. Kung the problem is economics, kung the problem is lack of funding for education, that's easy enough. Again, it depends on their problem. So yes, there are plans together with a lot of different things. And there's a really, honestly, sobrang haba ng listahan ko. I don't think I could finish it in one term. Like Vico. Parang two terms na siya, hindi pa rin siya tapos, di ba? Kasi inaayos niya pa rin yung city until now. Imagine, the task ahead for the both of us, for Eric and myself, should we get the seats, di ba? Ang hirap na kung yun pa lang na meron na silang resources, meron na silang mga actual slate behind them and it's
Mm-hmm.
taking them 6 years and more. What more for us na kami lang. Although kasama namin ang Paranaque, we're sure of that. Um, so yeah. Stephen, the question has already been answered. Actually, the question was, "What's your vision for Banyakan if you win election on your plan of action?" Please replay this live video. We're crossing an hour. Nakakahiya na sa mga nagsistay dito for an entire hour. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time and staying for an entire hour. Um, thank you so much for taking the time. Final words, Eric?
Thank you. Maraming salamat for listening to us. I know it's not easy on a Saturday night, but thank you. Please spread the message, paki-share, and like and comment so that we get more engagement. And listen, this is not the only time we're gonna do this. This is gonna be a weekly basis, And it's not just going to be us talking, but we're going to invite, different people from different sectors ng Parañaque so that we talk about the hot button issues na priority talaga so that we can pick each other's brains on how we can try and solve if we were to win and what our plans are para mas makita pa natin what we're going to do, right? Together. And that's very important. We're not going to get anywhere. Like Drew said, wala. Dalawa lang kami. We're just a couple of dudes, right? So please help these couple of dudes spread our message, our progressive message, our message of transparency and accountability to the rest of the Parañaqueños that you guys know. Maraming salamat. Thank you.
Thank you. Maraming salamat, Parañaque. Huwag niyong kalimutan, yung tulad ng tawag ng campaign namin, tayo. As in, ang campaign na ito is para sa ating lahat, para sa Parañaque. Again, maraming salamat po. Good evening. Mabuhay, Parañaque.
Good evening. Mabuhay Parañaque.